Hi YouTube. Today I want to talk about something that is very important to me and very important to a lot of us here in Texas, well everyone here in Texas. Beating the heat is very important. In fact, you probably see that I am glycering as we speak, and I almost waited too late to do this video inside because we don't have a whole lot of light in our cabin, not the type of light that you need for videoing. So it's best to do it during the day. But it gets hot in Texas. Some people say Arizona is just as hot or even hotter than Texas. I'm not sure because I haven't spent a lot of time in Arizona, but I do know it's hot here in Texas. But the thing about it though, we have different areas, just like any place else. Texas have different pockets where like we live here in the mountains, and you have the mountain winds, which cools things off. That is so nice. And we're actually about 10 degrees cooler in most of our surrounding areas simply because we live in the mountains. And then we're southwest Texas, so we're almost as far south as you can go in Texas. But the further north that you go, the cooler it gets because the further south is closer to the equator. And the sun here in Texas is very hot. So I have about 12, 13 tips here that I want to share with you to about staying cool while you're visiting or live here in Texas. Well, one is knowing during the day, knowing where the sun is. You want to know where the sun is at all time when you live here in Texas because it is extremely hot and you don't want to be directly in the rays of the sun at any given time if you can help it. And you even want to park your car in the shade. So a lot of people that live here in Texas and been here one summer, they know where the sun is at all times, if it's still in the east or if it's in the west or if it's directly above, and they know where the shade is, so they know where to park their cars. Well, sometimes you have to park your car in the sun, but if you have anybody in the car or a pet in the car, you can't leave them out there in the car unless you're parked under the shade with the windows down, preferably with air conditioning. But you want to make a habit of not leaving any small children, pets, or elderly in the car during the summer months here in Texas. What else I have here? Like outdoor work that you have to do. My son and I, we live off the grid here in the mountains of Presidio, Texas. And during the daytime, I have a variety of things to do. Besides cooking and cleaning, I have outdoor work to do. I have digging. We do composting. So about once a week, I am putting compost in the ground. We don't do any of that fancy gardening or using the compost for um, plants or anything like that. We just compost. And when we're changing out, it has to be put in the ground. And so that's outdoors under the sun. But you don't do that at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. If you're going to do some kind of digging or you're building outside, I had put together a deck, and it's not complete, but it required a lot of physical work, a lot of sawing, a lot of hammering, and it was all outside. But you don't do that type of thing outside underneath the sun. So here in Texas, most people adapt to being a very early morning person or a very late in the evening type of person where they do those type of things. A lot of businesses, we have contractors and businesses that don't even operate during the summer months here in Texas. So yeah, so like when I was saying the evening time, we mean evening time. We don't mean 5 or 6. That's my son Chevy. We don't mean 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening. We mean 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. Do those things then. If you know, if you don't, if you prefer doing it in the evening versus doing it early in the morning. Because we're here in the mountains in the rural area, and there are animals out here, even though we don't see very many of them because we don't do anything to attract the animals. But I find it better to do things in the morning, in the daylight, but it's still cool. And especially because we're here in the mountains, it's we have until about 9, maybe close to 10, where it's still cool in the morning. And so, you know, but around 10, 10:15, 10:30, if we whatever we're doing outside, we're wrapping it up. We're you know, we're getting ready to come back inside. Okay, let me see what else I have here. And also, if you're going to move to Texas in the wintertime or the spring or the fall. Don't move to Texas in the summer because you're not set up. You're probably going to move. Most of the time when you move, you don't have your air conditioning set up, you don't have your electricity turned on, or you don't have your solar set up. And so major projects that you're going to do here in Texas, do in the wintertime, spring, fall, where the weather is mild and it's cool. And also, let's see. Well, another way of beating the heat here in Texas is conventional air conditioning. And a lot of people have conventional air conditioning. My son and I, we're off the grid. We have a solar system, we have evaporator cooler, and so we're not paying electric bills. We have gotten a way around that. But if you have air conditioning, you can use your air conditioner. But if you're going to solely rely on your air conditioner here in Texas, you're going to be using your air conditioner 24/7. And a lot of people that I talk to, they their electric bill during the summer months is $300-400 a month. So other ways that I have to stay cool. Well, one thing, we have solar, and that is something that you may want to consider. We live in a no zone area. We can do whatever we want out here. That's one of the perks of being out here. And in addition to the cool mountain breeze, but there's also cheap ways or inexpensive ways to stay cool here in Texas as well. Okay, one thing that we do, we use 2 sets of curtains, which you may be able to see. Like right there, there's the white curtain, and then there's a very thin fabric of rayon behind the curtain, the white curtains of each window in our cabin here. And the reason for that is when we don't want the sun to come in, but we want the air to come in, I close the blue curtains and I leave the white curtains open if we just want some daylight, but we don't want the sun to come, the rays of the sun to come directly in on us. And then when we don't want either one, then I just leave everything open. And but that's a good way. You want to be able to block the sun, but you don't want real heavy curtains that's going to keep the wind from coming in too. So that's why I layered it so we can let the wind come in and block the sun when we need to. And another thing, you want to screen everything in. You want to have a screen on all your windows, and you want to have a front porch screen. And if possible, screening your front porch. Not only is it nice, and it keeps the porch cool. It helps keep the porch cooler, I say, but it also helps keep the cabin cool. Because if you have your front porch screen in, then that whole surface area is shielded from the sun, and that helps keep the inside of your cabin or your home cool as well. And if you can, screen in your back porch, because that is something that we plan on doing very soon too. So that will create almost, that'll be almost like having a third of our cabin screened in, and that'll just help keep the back end of the cabin cooler as well. And let's see what else I have here. Okay, keeping the inside of the cabin cool with your fans and your evaporator cooler. Now, in the future, we're going to get a window unit. We're going to get a bigger, more powerful unit. But today, I'm going to try to show you what we have here. And we have this large fan up here that circulates the air in the whole cabin, and it helps keep upstairs in the loft cool. Now we have two lofts, front loft and the back loft. And this fan keeps up in the loft cool, because when your upstairs is cool, that helps keep the rest of the cabin cool. So that's one fan. This fan here is pretty dusty, but that just helped with the air movement in the cabin. And I call this the flamethrower, because sometimes I will put it on swing and it swings back and forth and throwing the breeze back and forth in the cabin, and it really feels good. But most of the time I keep this fan on my shelf with my son. And this is our evaporated cooler. Now this is you keep filled with water, so it is able to put moisture back in the air. It feels good. The thing about this unit here, we got I bought this used for $100. You have to be right in front of it. It's not a very powerful unit. I mean, it's nice. It's really nice. It's better than nothing. But very soon we plan on getting a window unit that will probably be about as twice as powerful as this. But this is good. I mean, we've had this and we appreciate it. We've had this for 2.5 years now. And now, even though you really don't feel the effects unless you're right in front of the evaporated cooler, but it does help keep the entire cabin cool. So let's see what else we have here. Oh, another thing, and this is something that I'm just surprised about here in Texas, the way that people dress. I mean, is that right, Shelby? I'm just surprised the way people dress. They don't really dress like it's hot, as it is here in Texas. A lot of people, I mean, they wear blue jeans. They wear thick cotton dresses, and I was expecting that people dress would, because of the heat here. I was expecting that people would dress more like in Florida or California, but they don't. But I can't let that affect the way I dress, because I believe in being comfortable as possible. I mean, not nude or anything, but being comfortable in this heat. And but you also have to protect yourself from the sun. So even though it's hot, don't be mistaken with exposing all your skin, because that's not good either. Now, also, I believe in dressing light, and I also do most of our take care of our business and do most of our running around and go collect our supplies and everything. We do that just like we operate on the ranch. We do that in the morning or very late at night. Well, not late at night, because everything closes around, closes at the little neighborhood stores. The last store closes at 11 o'clock. That's on Dollar General. But we would drive the 20 miles to town at 9 o'clock at night and get there at 10, and have an hour to do some shopping at Dollar General because it's cooler at that time, obviously. So that is one. That's another thing that we do to stay cool. And let's see what else I have here. Oh yes. Okay. We live off the grid, and we haul our water here. We don't have a. I was talking to a a true cowboy. There was this tall white guy at the gas station, and well, actually, he had all of these pretty dogs in his truck, and one of the dogs came over to our van, and so we got to talking about the dogs and everything. And I was telling him about that, I plan on getting a dog, but I'm kind of afraid because I don't want to get a dog if it's going to attract, other animals to our ranch here in the mountains. And so anyway, he was saying that he didn't think that that was going to be a problem. He hasn't never noticed anything um, of that being an issue, but. He was a true cowboy, and he has cows on his ranch, and his dogs they're cow dogs, and but another thing is with staying cool is bathing. Oh, but back to the cowboy, because he was saying that he has this water stream, this spring stream on his ranch, and and it just sounded real nice. But I plan on doing a video about the the pros and cons of having a dry ranch. We have a dry ranch, so we have to haul water to our ranch. So obviously, having water on your ranch is an advantage, but there are other concerns you got to have when you have natural spring on your water. I mean, natural springs on your land because it attracts animals. Because the animals, they're thirsty too, and you might have more of an issue with insects. But those are things that you can, there's many things that you can do to keep those issues down to a minimum. But one thing I wanted to say about staying cool in the summer, and this is a real big one, doesn't cost you much, but it will, it might be more of a concern if you have a dry ranch like we do. But that's bathing several times a day. And when I say bathing, I'm not really talking about the scrub down with the soap and everything, but like basically I'm talking about taking one bath or one shower, and then maybe doing a cool down twice a day. And like for an example, because we haul water, we're not taking 15-minute showers and with water running down our back 3 or 4 times a day, because even though the water is not very expensive and we also have access to free water, but we have to haul it in. So we don't want to use more than we need. But what we do, like, for example, I would take a shower after breakfast, sometime around 10 o'clock, and maybe around 2, I might take a half a gallon of water. I might go out to our bathhouse, or I might go to a wash station that we have outside and just pour a half a gallon or a whole gallon of water, over me. I'm probably not going to be pouring it in my hair, in my face, and everything, but I'll pour it all over me and stuff to cool off. And that feels really good. Even when you're outside and it's 100 degrees outside, if you have water, if you're drenched in water, soaking wet, even with your clothes on, it feels really good. And then you have the mountain winds cooling you off. And then when you come back inside, you have the fans and you have the evaporator coolers, keeping inside the cabin cool. And so that feels really good. And so I might take my bath at 10, and then I might do a cool down at 2, and repeat as necessary. I might do it again at 4, and Chevy might do it again at 1 o'clock. Whenever you start feeling hot and sweaty, you can just take a gallon of water and just pour it over yourself, and that will not only cool you off for maybe 15, 20 minutes, but your body will stay cool for a little bit longer than that as well. So you might be good to go for 30 minutes, hour, while your clothes, and just keep your clothes on wet because Texas. Oh, 1 second. Yes, and after you do a cool down, you might want to just keep your wet clothes on because Texas is a dry heat, so they're going to be dry within a few minutes. And let's see what else we have here. Oh yes. Okay, we have the towel placement. So if it's really hot, now I'm talking. This is not every day in Texas. Some people are afraid to come to Texas. Some people are afraid to. Some people are afraid to visit Texas. Some people are afraid to come to Texas to live because all they hear about is how hot it is. And it is hot in the summertime, but Texas is not extremely hot all year round. And in fact, the other 75% of the year is very nice and mild and very pleasant weather here in Texas. And Texas also have a rainy season where I believe it's in the spring where it rains every other day, or sometimes it rains every day. One time it rained every day for 3 weeks here in the mountains in Presidio, Texas. So, well, we don't live in the town of Presidio, but we live in Presidio County in the mountains. So it's in that little town of Presidio. It's very hot. It's in the valley. It's very hot. It's about 12 degrees hotter than it is here in the mountains, and it's still hot. They don't get the breeze that we get and everything that we do here in the mountains. So, but with that being said, doing this video is just to beat the heat at its peaks during the summer, the month of July and August, which are the hottest months of the year, and the different things you can do to stay cool during that time. But outside of okay, let's say summer is June, July, August. No, May, June, July, and August. And maybe, I think it's May, June, July, and August. But nevertheless, that's when you really have to be prepared for for Texas heat, because the sun is closer here because we're closer to the equator than most people, and so and we have more daylight as well. So you during the summer you want to make sure you have plenty of drinking water, plenty of water. Period. We have water for washing. We bring water for drinking. We have water for our evaporator cooler because we can't just put any type of high calcium water in our evaporator cooler because then that could even mess up the machine or require me to clean it out. So we use pure drinking water for our evaporator cooler, and you want to have plenty of it. And here in the mountains, if you live in a rural area like we do, you want to stock up on everything because the nearest store is 20 miles away. So our cabin is basically, we love our cabin, but it's basically a large supply closet. That's what our cabin is, because we have supplies for decoration, we have emergency supplies, we have operating supplies, we have supplies in reserve. Now, but at the same time, we have a place to sleep. There's my bed back there. We have our own bathroom. My son has his bathroom area. I have my bathroom area. But the cabin itself, we try to keep stocked with food and water and different things that we like. We like our movies. We like our snacks. We like popcorn. We like to snack all the time. So I try to keep healthier items so we can just eat them all the time without getting too fat or getting too sick. And so it's a supply closet. And you want to, when you know the summertime is coming, you want to be stocked up. You want to be well stocked with your water. And I mean, this is something that you want to be well stocked all the time. But for summer, you definitely want to make sure you have some drinking water and the water that you're going to be using for other things. And and then water gets old after a while. Shelby, my son, he drinks water, but it has to be flavored. It has to be sparkling or something. It has to be something special about it for him to. He rarely just drink plain water. So we have water flavors. We have sparkling water. And we have also sometimes I would use juice. We try to keep lemonade, iced tea, and some of these things I make naturally. And sometimes we'll purchase tea and lemonade, but we use those things for flavoring. We don't just drink them straight most of the time, because this type of heat, even if you're indoors and it's nice and cool, it just has a tendency to make you thirsty. So you don't want. So you're gonna be drinking a lot. You're gonna be drinking a lot. So you don't want to be drinking a lot. I mean, even if you're drinking all natural juice and 100% natural flavors and things like that, you don't want to be drinking them straight all the time, because you'll be consuming too much of it. So we use these things for flavoring. We'll flavor the water with lemonade, and I mean basically it's just diluted with lemonade, but it keeps us happy. We just use it for flavoring. And the same thing with iced tea. You don't want to be drinking a whole lot of caffeine, and you don't want to be drinking a lot of alcohol out here. I mean, a cold beer, that's fine, but you don't want to be consuming too much beer and wine. And to me, in my opinion, is the heat is most of the time it's just too hot for wine anyway. But you want to keep your alcohol and your caffeine intake down to a minimum, because you do not want to be dehydrated out here. Okay, now let's see what else I have. Oh yes, placing a towel. Like if you're going to be sitting at your computer for a while, or you're going to be laying across the bed watching TV or whatever, put a towel in the chair. Or if you're going to be in the bed, lay a towel across the bed. This way, if you're perspiring, you're not, your sheets are not going to be drenched wet, and you're not going to be just sweating on top of your bed or sweating in your chair. Having a towel in your chair, or a towel under you, it just keeps you cool. It helps keep you cool. It makes you feel more comfortable. It helps keep you dry. It helps keep your linen clean and dry. So placing a towel on the furniture where you're going to be for a while helps keep you cool and helps keep everything dry. And let's see what else I have. Oh, cook. Okay. I'm about to recommend something that I don't do, but I think it would benefit a lot of other people. Cooking at night. The reason why I don't cook at night, because if I cook whatever time I cook, if I cook at 3 o'clock in the morning, Chevy and we're going to be eating at 3 o'clock in the morning. And it's not because my cooking is so good. It's just that we're just greedy. If it's edible, we're going to eat it. So I don't even bother. I tried it. I tried cooking at night the night before and saving the food for the next day, and I've tried it many times, and it just doesn't work for us. But I think it's an excellent idea if you can get away with it, because you don't want to heat your kitchen up. Now we have a stove. Now I just cook on a one burner 90% of the time anyway, but we actually have a stove and an oven in our other cabin, and that way we're not heating up the cabin where we're actually chilling out in. So that cabin over there, You know, that's where the stove is, and you can hang out over there too. But we're not over there, and so when if I want to put something in the oven over there, then we don't. I can do that without heating up where we're actually relaxing and living. So, but cook in what I do. I cook in the morning. We usually do a heavy breakfast because we're just greedy. We like to eat. That's why I really focus on eating healthy, having fruit and vegetable around. I'm going to do a video on canned goods and also, but cooking late in the evening too. So we do a heavy breakfast, but we'll do most of the time lunch is like free for all. It's like we'll do sandwiches for lunch. Or salads for lunch. We'll, do chips and dips for lunch. It just maybe hot dog and popcorn. Lunch is not really a big deal for us because it's sort of like just the bridge between breakfast and dinner. Dinner, we have dinner. Try not to have it too big, heavy of a dinner, but we'll do dinner later on in the evening, and so that's after when the sun go down. But like if I'm doing some heavy duty cooking or baking, like you say, we don't even do that here inside this particular cabin. We'll do that in the other cabin to keep this cabin cool. Okay, and let's see what else we have. Yes, and eat. Okay, now we're off the grid. We have solar. Um, but because we're so far away from the nearest little city, we do most of our shopping and recreation type of thing in Marfa, Texas. Now that's 60 miles away. Okay, and so another thing I wanted to say is I'm losing all my daylight, but I'm about to wrap it up. Is to stay cool is eat fruit and vegetables. Eat light. I mean, you eat heavy. I mean, I like to eat everything. My son likes to eat. We're meat eaters. Um, but he's more on the fish and chicken, particularly the fish. Me, I like cheeseburgers, steak. And we're big eaters. But I'm just saying, like for snacks, or if you're not as greedy as we are, eat vegetables too. Eat your fruit. Try to keep some fruit around. And like I was about to say, we spend a lot of time in Martha, Texas. Shout out to Martha. Shout out to St. George Hotel. They open up their swimming pool to the public almost every day. I believe every day at 6 o'clock p.m. I think it's 5 or 6 o'clock p.m. But anyway, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Um, Shout out to Marfa, Texas. And Chevy and I, we spend a great deal of time there. We do most of our shopping in Marfa, Texas, and that's 60 miles away from us. But when we go, we try to get some fruit. We don't have fruit. That's the reason why we don't have fruit in the house all the time because we have to go so far to get it. But also, we have keep fruit and canned goods, and canned goods used to didn't be my favorite um, type of food, canned goods, but canned goods will save your life. As you know, canned goods will save your life, and fruit is basically the harmless way, source of food with the canned goods. Because with the fruit, you just have the fruit in the syrup, and then you have certain companies, they don't add nothing but maybe a little sugar. Some of them don't even add any sugar. So fruit in the can is basically the safest way to go. And but